am Rachel London. I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland DD Council and the Chair of the DD Coalition. It is my pleasure to welcome you to DD Day at the Legislature 2026. Yeah. As always, things are moving around, so I want to recognize some legislators that are in the room. Senator Brooks from District 10. Delegate Gazone from District 13. Sorry, stumbled on that. And Delegate Wims from District 39 was here. I think he had to run out. The other ones that are here, you're going to hear from shortly. So again, things are moving already, as they always do. You're going to hear from me again in just a few minutes, but for now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Greg.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Greg Snyder with Maryland Association of Community Services. I have the honor of introducing our first guest speaker, elected official. Delegate Tom Hutchinson has represented District 37B, serving Caroline, Dorchester, Talbot, and Wicomico counties on the Eastern Shore since January 2023. He is a member of the House Health Committee and serves on the Elder and Long-Term Care Subcommittee, the Maternal, Infant, and Child Health Subcommittee, and the Public Health and Minority Health Disparity Subcommittee. Wow, you're busy. In these roles, Delegate Hutchinson helps shape policies that directly impact access to health care and long-term supports across Maryland. He has been supportive of the issues affecting people with developmental disabilities and families, and we appreciate his engagement and partnership throughout the legislative session. Although Speaker Jocelyn Pena-Melnick could not be with us in person this morning, she asked Delegate Hutchinson to attend on her behalf, share remarks, and extend her greetings to everyone here for DD Day at the Legislature. So please join me in welcoming Delegate Tom Hutchinson to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. I'm absolutely honored and thrilled to be here today. I'm Delegate Tom Hutchinson from Dorchester County, and I'm honored that Speaker Pena-Melnick asked me to represent her today. She's disappointed she couldn't be here, but I know she has plans to meet with many of you in her office later today. You know, you might be wondering why she asked me to step in for her this morning, a Republican from the Eastern Shore. In years past, having an R represent the Speaker like this was unheard of in Annapolis. But our new Speaker is a very unique leader. For the past 3 years, she was my chair on the House Health and Government Operations Committee. And during that time, we worked together, digging into problems to find innovative solutions to tough healthcare challenges. Healthcare issues are not partisan issues. Developmental disability issues are not partisan issues. She invites all voices to the table, and all good ideas are welcome, and that is why I respect her immensely. She strives for dignity, grace, and civility, and she expects the same from me and everyone in the House of Delegates. We need leadership like this during tough times. So this morning I bring both my welcome and hers to your community. Developmental disabilities is an issue that truly affects all of us. It has no political party. It knows no race, ethnicity, or religion. Our friends, families, neighbors, and colleagues with developmental disabilities live in every corner of the state. They all need us as champions for them. Our role as legislators and your role as advocates are different, but very complementary. We are charged with prudently managing the state's resources, weighing many competing interests within the constraints of a balanced budget. Your mission is to stand up for the community you serve and pushing us every day always to improve, to find ways to reach more people and to serve them better. We may have unlimited love for the state of Maryland, but in reality, we do not have unlimited resources. In government, there will always be a tension between wanting to do more and acknowledging our constraints. At its best, that tension becomes a creative force that moves us in a direction of better and wiser decision-making. That's where the Developmental Disabilities Council has such a crucial part to play. You remind us of why we were here in the first place, and that is to make it better for all people of Maryland. As I noted, we are living in some polarized times, but even when so much is filtered through a partisan lens, there are a few things that I think we can all agree on. One of those is that every Marylander is a sacred soul with inherent worth and value. Another is that thank you, Aaron. Another is that we have a special responsibility to support our most vulnerable citizens. You know, on the Health Committee, I often hear about a bill and how it will support the most vulnerable. Depending upon its purpose, it could be for children, pregnant mothers, homeless citizens. But truly in my heart and in the heart of the speaker, our citizens with developmental disabilities are truly the most vulnerable. There is no disagreement. People with developmental disabilities deserve dignity. They deserve grace. They deserve civility. They deserve respect. They deserve opportunities to participate meaningfully in their communities through work, volunteering, education, sports, and in every sphere of their life. The state of Maryland has long recognized the critical importance of government, community organizations, and families working hand in hand to ensure an excellent quality of life for people with developmental challenges. Our state has long made this a priority area, with appropriations for community services increasing more than 300% from 2015 to 2025. But as you know, starting 5 years ago, actual spending far outpaced the amount appropriated, leading to a very difficult situation that we find ourselves in today. We worked together last year to restore many of the proposed devastating cuts, and this year will require us to once again to be creative about the right balance in these tough economic times. Over the last 2 years, I've seen this group advocate passionately with one voice across Annapolis. Don't give up, continue to fight. I meet a lot of different advocacy groups here. I mean, a lot. But I must say, this is something very unique about this group. You don't give up. You're there. You show up. You fight. As we work through these challenges in the days ahead, I'll keep in mind, and I will definitely share with the speaker, the conversations I've had with many of you when you come to my office. One is a resident from Dorchester County, Cody Stevens. Cody has demonstrated his love for his son, Luke, and I know he will never, ever give up fighting for him. 10-year-old Luke has endured 2 brain surgeries, but his life is made so much better by the self-directed services he receives from the Developmental Disabilities Administration. Cody, where are you? There you are, pal. Cody is here with us this morning, and the devotion this father shows in advocating for his son is remarkable. In fact, in the 4 years I've been in Annapolis, I've never seen fiercer advocates for any cause than the folks of the DD community. You bring relentless energy and passion, and everyone who visits with me sure as heck knows their facts, and you always come with the facts. One thing I've learned about this community is that too often people feel like their voices are not heard. So I want to say today, on my behalf and the speaker's behalf, and I want Cody and Luke and all the families and the providers to know that we do see you, we do hear you, and we are dedicated to working to solve this issue. As the speaker says, she was given 2 ears and only 1 mouth, and we were always here to listen. Again, on behalf of Speaker Penny Melnick and myself, thank you for having me here today. I know you won't give up the fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Hutchinson. We really appreciate you being here. Good morning, everybody. All right. Is everybody excited to be in Annapolis today? Yeah. That's right. You better believe it. We are here. They're excited for us to be here. We're excited to be here. We have a lot of work to do today and the rest of the legislative session. I'm Laura Howe. I'm the CEO of the Maryland Association of Community Services and a very proud member of the DD Coalition. I get the honor of introducing our next speaker. Senator Guy Gazzoni represents District 13 in Howard County and serves as chair of the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. As one of the General Assembly's leading fiscal voices, he plays a central role in shaping Maryland's budget priorities and long-term investments. What that means is he's the big guy in the Senate we need to talk to about getting funding restored and making some better changes. Most recently, Senator Gazzoni was a key architect and force behind the historic restoration of over $1 billion in funding for developmental disability supports last year. His leadership helps ensure that Maryland continues to build stronger and more inclusive opportunities regardless of someone's disability. Please join me in welcoming our champion, your friend and mine, Chairman Guy Gazzoni.
Hey, everybody. You look good. All right, thank you. I'll take that. I think the delegates said some interesting things, really important things in his speech just a minute ago. I'm going to try to add on to that a little bit and a little historical perspective, just because I think it is critically important at this particular moment. He mentioned the increases in the DD budget over the years. Now, I got involved in this about 13 years ago. And back then, year after year, there were no increases in the budget. So it put this community in a horrible place. And what happened was nothing short, I think, of a miracle. Because over those 13 years, those increases were extraordinary from a budgetary perspective. And I mean that. Extraordinary. So the first thing I need to say to you all is congratulations. We worked together to lift up the budget for this community in ways that back then were unheard of. Unheard of. And in some ways are unheard of right now. 100% increase over the last 3 years. That's unheard of. You did that. We did that together. And that is something special. So the question is, how is it that we still keep having issues? How is that possible? I'm going to try. I'm going to try. I'm going to try. It's tricky, though. How can you have all that growth and then have the problem we had last year, and we resolved that problem last year? And then we come into this year and there seems to be some more issues. And why is that? Well, from a budgetary standpoint, what has happened is in the middle of the year, something has occurred where we need more money than was actually budgeted. But how is that possible? We budgeted extraordinary levels. And yet, in the middle of the year, it got to a point where we were spending more money than was budgeted. The department was spending more money than was actually allotted for. So part of this, I think, comes down to one simple fact, and that is the DD community is diverse in and of itself. Everyone has different needs and different support levels that are important to bring people to their highest and quality part of life. If you think about what that means in the context of the 20,000 or so individuals that the state supports every year, that becomes a very complex mathematical problem. And what they have tried to do is to figure out, and you hear this word, you're going to hear this word cost containment a lot today as you walk around. And they're trying to figure out ways to somehow make sure everybody gets what they need, but still live within the budget. It's really, I mean, it's really complicated. It really is. And the good news is, again, that we have the money. Within the budget, we have the money. The growth that you created has been extraordinary. The complicated problem is the manipulation of what goes on within that budget and the services that are provided to individuals. These cost containment measures affect people who receive supports in different ways. And we've got to figure out the best way to come up with those measures to keep the budget balanced and support people at their highest level. This can't keep happening where every year that we have this problem. Success shouldn't have necessarily got us to this place. But success can help us get out of this situation and still provide the supports that are necessary. Complicated. I don't want to bore you anymore, because this is kind of boring. I know digging into, let me tell you, when we dig, Corey McCray over here, Senator McCray, you're going to hear from a minute. He's the senator on our committee that deals with these issues. He's the chairman of the subcommittee on health. He knows that these are complicated formulas. And we're going to work these formulas. We're going to work everything we need to work, because this has to be right. We cannot have such great success and not succeed. And that's what we're going to do with you. And I am so glad that you are here again. I'm so glad to be with you this day. And I know we're going to continue to make a difference. Thank you all very much.
All right, you can see what great hands we're in, right? Thank you, Senator Gazzoni. And as Senator Gazzoni said, our next speaker, Senator Corey McCray, represents District 45 in Baltimore City and serves as chair of the Health and Human Services Subcommittee of Senator Gazzoni's committee, Budget and Tax. In his leadership roles, Senator McCray helps shape funding decisions that directly impact people with developmental disabilities, families, and community providers across Maryland. Last session, Senator McCray played a critical role in what we referenced before, the extraordinary restoration of over $1 billion in funding for DD services. He understands that strong communities are built through inclusion, opportunity, and sustained investment in people, including those who rely on and utilize home and community-based supports. We are incredibly grateful for his partnership and his leadership. Please welcome Senator Corey McCray.
Morning. Morning. First, Laura, I just want to say I'm humbled, I'm honored, I'm privileged to be able to share this room with you all today. And Senator Gazzoni, I say that, Mr. Chair, because when I think of I heard Tom say it in reference to the advocates that we have in this room, in reference to the people that are pushing each and every day, as you stated, Lord, to make sure that this world, this space, this Maryland is inclusive. So I thank you. I thank you, Andy. I thank you, Rachel. I thank you, Murray. I thank you, so many people that I've saw in this room each and every day. But I also thank you for making me whole. And how you do that, Craig, is when you get the opportunity to see what the K through 12 spaces look like. You get to see what does the workforce spaces look like. You get to see where our young people, our seniors can congregate in safe spaces and enjoy those safe spaces. That's what makes me whole, but more importantly, that's what makes me see the picture a little bit more clear. And when I think about my chair, and I heard him reference the word complicated a good bit. But my chair is not just my chair, Ben, he's also my mentor. And when I think of these complex problems that I've seen solved day and day and day, I think of what does it take, or what are the ingredients, what are the tools in order to get there. And when I think of my chair, one of the things that he makes sure that he emphasizes is communication. We start with making sure that all folks are at that table. All folks, and we heard Tom say it, the 2 ears and 1 mouth. But I also think that once we get past that part of just the communication, he's taught me to always be respectful, but the most important piece is be thoughtful. Thoughtful in the decisions that are made because they impact real people's lives. And Senator Gazzoni, I think about not just the communication, I not just think about just being thoughtful, but the other thing is that if we do not focus on who gets the credit, then we can get a lot done. And when I look around this room and he's talked about the monumental things that had been accomplished, it wasn't that he was saying he did it, he kept saying you did it. Because we all did it. We all helped get things across the finish line, and that's what I look forward to doing with this complicated puzzle that's in front of us, making sure that we're communicating appropriately, being thoughtful in the decisions that we're making, but making sure that each and every person that contributed, the advocates, the parents, the students, everybody make sure that they know that they have a part of this success. So I say thank you for the opportunity to be here, but more importantly, thank you for letting me be a part of something that's bigger than me.
Our next speaker, Senator Craig Zucker, represents District 14 in Montgomery County. Okay. And serves as Our next speaker is actually Delegate Aaron Kaufman, apologies, represents District 18 in Montgomery County and serves on the House Judiciary Committee. Delegate Kaufman brings both lived experience and legislative leadership to his work. As a person with developmental disability, he understands firsthand the importance of access, opportunity, and meaningful inclusion in community life. Since being elected in 2022, he's been a strong advocate for ensuring Marylanders with disabilities have the supports and resources they need. His voice strengthens the General Assembly and reflects the heart of why we gather here for DD Day. So please join me in welcoming Delegate Aaron Kaufman.
Well, thank you, Greg. Boy, I wish my grandma was here to hit that wonderful introduction. She must have come down from heaven this morning and written it. But I just want to say that I'm a proud member of the developmental disabilities community, and I have done plenty of advocacy, and my role has changed a little bit as a legislator, but to quote the late, great Whitney Houston, I will always love you. Uh, and so I want to just, so I just want to say that it is an honor to be with you today. What I want to focus on is what you might say in your visits. This is not the time, friends, um, to be shy about your needs. This is the time to say that you need assistance with showering, you need assistance with shaving, you need assistance with eating, whatever you need assistance with, because our colleagues need to understand that the Developmental Disabilities Administration and DD and the services they provide are not luxuries for us. Rather, they are lifelines. And the fact is that, there's a lot of talk about expense, and there is a lot of talk about cost containment, the cuts that need to be made, and difficult decisions need to be made. But I believe, as a man of faith, that we are all created in the image of God, and that we are frankly worth it. And so, uh, and so, I agree with Laura's statement the other day in Maryland Matters that the costs are up because people are living longer. That's what she said, and I agree, and that is a blessing. So what your job is today is to talk about how the cost containment measures need to happen because the caring for us in the community needs to cost less or the same as living in an institution. So we need to have, as part of the waiver, we need to have that. So cost containment does need to occur, but you need to emphasize that it needs to occur with minimal impact for beneficiaries. And you need to talk about the consequences that would happen if you lost your services. And if you're a direct support professional, God bless you. Because in many cases, you made tremendous sacrifices to come to this country. And the people that used to care for my brother, blessed memory, were part of the finance ministry in Sierra Leone, or they were professors. And so they made tremendous sacrifices to come to this country for a better life for their children. And it's very important to realize, friends, that DSP wages is an equity issue because primarily people who are DSPs are women, people of color, and immigrants. And that is part of what makes Maryland beautiful. Diversity is a strength, not a weakness. And so just let your voice be heard. Be candid about your daily struggles, because with all due respect, if you're not disabled, you don't entirely get it. And so I'm just going to close because I know you're waiting to hear from Craig, but you know how much I like to sing. And so but my voice is for the shower. So I'm just going to speak these words, and that is, baby, I'm yours until 2 and 2 is 3. In other words, for eternity. And so go get him. God bless you all.
Thank you, Delegate. Our next guest needs no introduction because I already started giving it, but Senator Craig Zucker represents District 14 in Montgomery County and serves as chair of the Capital Budget Subcommittee of the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. He is widely respected for his deep knowledge of budget, health, and human services policy. In his leadership roles, Senator Zucker has helped drive investments that improve opportunities and quality of life for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. Senator Zucker has been a vocal advocate for IDD funding, especially for the over 4,000 people on the DDA waiting list. During the 2025 legislative session, he worked diligently to protect critical resources and prioritize funding for our community. His steady leadership and partnership have made a meaningful difference for families and community providers across Maryland. Please join me now in welcoming Senator Craig Zucker.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. Someone asked if, do I have to follow Delegate Aaron Kaufman? I would follow him anywhere. But Aaron, I'm not going to sing, but I will sing your praises. I guess Delegate Kaufman and I have known each other since he was 10, so I was about 11. But what an unbelievable champion for those just all across the state. And what's interesting is, and Chair Gazzoni, it's always good to see you. I keep saying that the chair gets taller, but might not be with height, but certainly with visibility and advocacy for those with developmental differences. And I appreciate his friendship and partnership over the many years. Even though we're still young, we've been fighting this fight for a while. What's interesting is, Laura, I didn't really kind of know what I was going to say this morning. And based on what Aaron said, I'm going to pivot just a little bit. And especially from what I heard from people who were sitting next to me saying, thank you for all your advocacy. Thank you for, bringing up your son and everything that, that these are our lives and these are also our families' lives. And this past week, what's interesting is when I think about my son's trajectory, where he was nonverbal for a while, does a lot of repetitive speaking, he did something amazing last Tuesday, where he was the first one to report vandalism at our temple. Calls me up, lets me know exactly what happened, and because of him, we were able to report it directly to the rabbi. And why do I bring that up is he wasn't a bystander. That's what I kept hearing. He wasn't a bystander. So why do I tie that in is today you're not bystanders. Today you're going to be advocating for what you need, sharing your experience, and making sure that people understand what you do day in and day out, and know that you've got great friends and partners here, like Chairman Gazzoni, Senator McCray. I saw our other colleagues here and other delegates. So you are making a huge difference, not only based on your advocacy, but the difference what you do to make people's lives better. So I really came here today, along with my colleagues, to first say thank you and to let you know that these are our lives too, and that we've got your back. Thank you very much.
Isn't it great to have so many champions? And for them to recognize how hard we all work to make this happen. Let's give them another round of applause as they head out to their meetings. All right, so I get to welcome you officially again. Thanks for your indulgence as we sort of worked through some changes in the agenda. I promise we're getting to everything. It is always so good to see all of you. Look at this packed room and the room outside and all the people watching on Facebook Live. I want to start by acknowledging what so many of us are feeling right now. The uncertainty at the federal level, the confusion about what comes next, and the very real fear and frustration that comes with it. Right down the street in DC, programs people rely on are being debated, being talked about, and being cut. There are cuts in the federal budget, and now there are cuts in Maryland's budget. And that's scary for people with developmental disabilities, for families, for providers, for advocates, for all of us. And if we're honest, the uncertainty has affected our community in different ways. People are anxious, people are tired, people have different ideas about the path forward. Some of us are angry, some of us are worried, some of us feel divided, some of us feel all of those things and more, right? That's real, and we have to acknowledge it. Like the great advocates and fighters before us, though, we understand something powerful. Our strength has never come from perfect unity of opinion. It's come from a shared commitment to dignity, to access, to opportunity, and to belonging. We believe we have to do this together, not by denying our differences or our different opinions, but in recognition of that division. In recognition of that division can weaken us, and the solidarity between us protects us. Today is about showing up for each other, for the community, for the future of services and supports. And when we stand together, legislators obviously see not just programs and line items, they see a community that refuses to be invisible. We are stronger together, and together we will keep fighting for what people need and for what people want. It doesn't matter where someone lives or which model of service they choose. Everyone deserves to have the supports they need, and for those supports to be funded to meet their needs. We know there's strong support from our community, from the state, from state leaders, and in the General Assembly. You just heard from so many of our champions, leaders who have stood with us year after year, who understand that disability services are not optional. They are essential, and we are grateful. But we also know there are deep cuts in this budget. We know the General Assembly did not create these cuts, but we also know that we need them to help restore them. That's why we're here, again. Because change doesn't happen by accident, services aren't protected by silence, and civil rights are not preserved by hope alone. It takes all of us, all 800 of you in this room or in 2 rooms, the hundreds more watching on Facebook Live, standing together to say services for people with developmental disabilities must be protected. It takes partnership. It takes a clear message. We are here to continue to create change, to protect services, to defend civil rights, to improve lives. And we come together once again, not just to be seen, but to be heard, to show our strength, to learn, and to advocate together. As in previous years, today's event is sponsored by the Maryland Developmental Disabilities Coalition, and I have to thank the leadership and the staff of each of our organizations for all you did to pull this together. It is not an easy feat. It truly takes a village, and I am so glad you all are a part of mine. So the beginning already moved quickly. We're going to continue to move quickly. But before I turn it over to my colleagues, remember we are here today to work together, because together we are unstoppable. Together we are the change. Together we can make sure lives are supported and no one is left behind. We really appreciate each and every one of you that is here today to work on that mission. This is a day to have fun, learn from your fellow Marylanders, teach your fellow Marylanders, grow as an advocate, and empower more advocates around you. We do encourage you to share your experiences today on social media. There are a couple of hashtags. They are on your agenda, so you don't have to remember me saying it, but they are hashtag DDDay 2026 and hashtag These Are Our Lives. And after this, we're continuing our advocacy. We are going to walk and roll together down to a rally on Lawyers Mall in front of the State House that will start around 11:15. And I know some people have meetings. That's okay. We will be there for a bit, and we hope that you all can make it. I also want to acknowledge other people who have joined us. From the Department of Health, Secretary Mina Seshamani, Deputy Secretary Marlena Hutchinson, Deputy Secretary for Healthcare Financing and Medicaid, Perry Briskin. From the Department of Disabilities, Secretary Carol Beatty, I think maybe Deputy Secretary Ann Blackfield, a couple more people. From the Maryland State Department of Education, the Assistant Superintendent of the Division of Rehabilitation Services, Dr. Eric Bonner. And from the Division of Special Education, the co-assistant superintendents, Dr. Brian Morrison and Carmen Brown. Keep going here, couple more. From the DDA, Robert White, Chief Operating Officer, Nova Evans, Director of Programs, and Rhonda Workman, Director of Federal Programs. And from the Governor's Office, Michael Huber, Deputy Chief of Staff, and Hannah Dyer, the Deputy Legislative Officer. Think I got everyone. Oh, and Assistant Secretary Kim McKay from the Department of Disabilities. I see her over there now. All right, great. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone else. If I did, my apologies. And I'm going to turn it over to Megan.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Megan Marsh, and I'm the Executive Director at Disability Rights Maryland. Thank you again for everyone who's joining us this morning. I have the privilege of introducing our next speaker, Dr. Mina Seshamani, who's the Secretary of the Maryland State Department of Health. Prior to joining Maryland government, Dr. Seshamani worked in federal health positions under the Obama and Biden administrations, including serving as the Deputy Administrator at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Dr. Seshamani was appointed as Secretary in Maryland last year, and since then, she's really become known for listening, and we do not take that for granted. She's convened town halls, listening sessions, roundtables, meets with advocates in the community, and seeks meaningful input. So I'm honored to introduce a person who uses communication and bridge building as guide stars, and look forward to all of us continuing to work together. So please welcome our Secretary of the State Department of Health, Dr. Mina Seshamani. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
I'm totally fine. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you. I thought I'd give you guys a little, excitement for this morning if you didn't have it already. So good morning, and thank you again for the kind introduction. And thank you to the DD Coalition for hosting me here today for the annual DD Day. But most importantly, I want to thank all of you. Every individual and every family member who is here today. Your advocacy is the heartbeat of this work. And I'm really honored to be able to stand here with all of you. At the Maryland Department of Health, we often talk about serving Marylanders across their lives. But what that really means is being there for you, from your first breath through every milestone that follows. And I want Marylanders to know that the Department of Health is working every day to protect and advance the health and well-being of all Marylanders. My job isn't just to manage a department. My job is to ensure that everyone has the support that they need to live the lives that they choose. And disability services are central to that mission. We believe in access to a wide range of high-quality, affordable services that allow Marylanders with intellectual and developmental disabilities to live the lives they choose. And that every person deserves to thrive. And that's why we're committed to supporting participants through the individualized, person-centered plans that support people to live fully and engage in their communities. But I'm not here just speaking to you as an official. I am a Maryland resident, and like many of you, I'm a parent. Before serving Maryland as the Secretary of Health, I served Maryland as a parent representative on the Department of Disabilities Assistive Technology Program Advisory Council. And so let me tell you, when I came to become Secretary of Health and I got to meet Secretary Beatty in person, I was very excited. I know what it's like to worry about your loved one's future. I have seen firsthand how these services aren't just programs. They are the bridge to a full and meaningful life. An engagement with all of you, our program participants, our family members, our providers, individuals with lived experience, our advocates, other community partners. It's that engagement that is core to our ability to better understand and strive to meet the needs of the community. Your input and our meaningful conversations are critically important to our ability to strengthen services for today and for the years ahead. But now, I want to be honest with you. We are facing real federal government oversight and real fiscal pressures. Our goal is a sustainable, accessible, equitable, and effective program of meaningful services that promotes community living through both self-directed and community provider-managed delivery models. The governor's current budget proposal shares this mission, both in preserving Maryland's community-based system of supports and also protecting the program so that it can continue to serve Maryland families in the years ahead. But look, I know that when we talk about sustainability or federal requirements, it can sound cold, it can sound bureaucratic, and it can sound frightening. When you hear about budget adjustments or policy shifts, I know the question is, will I or my loved ones still have what we need? My responsibility is to make sure this program works for you today and into the future. I serve those of you in the program today, those of you on the wait list, and those of you yet to age in to our services. And that means making necessary adjustments to keep our federal funding secure, to protect the very foundation of the services that you rely on. So please know that we are committed to working every day to help people remain in their homes. We want people to stay active in their communities, and we want to achieve improved health outcomes and quality of life for everyone. We are doing everything we can to protect the ability of Marylanders with intellectual and developmental disabilities to live the lives they choose, to keep our vital programs and supports in compliance with federal law, and to make sure, by doing so, that services are accessible to you for years to come. And also, please know that the conversation does not stop when I leave here today. Your voices are important. Your advocacy is what makes these programs successful. We want to hear from you. We will continue to work alongside you and alongside the General Assembly to ensure that Maryland remains a place where you can live fully, safely, and with dignity. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity to connect, that you've given me to connect with all of you this morning. And thank you for witnessing my stumble with grace and humor. I'm really happy to be able to join all of you today. I'm really looking forward to continuing to work together in what are very challenging and anxious times for all of us on all the things. I really look forward to working together with you to build and strengthen our program that serves our community. So thank you again.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tony Zanfordino. I'm the proud father of Stormy Zanfordino, a 19-year-old with Down syndrome. I currently serve as the Vice President of the ARC of Maryland and the co-chair for its Governmental Affairs Committee. It is my pleasure of introducing our next speaker this morning, DDA Secretary Marlena R. Hutchinson. Marlena joined the Maryland Department of Health Senior Leadership Team in 2024 and has over 30 years of experience in Medicaid, home, and community-based services, public health, public policy, and healthcare administration. She has worked at the Maryland Department of Health since 1994 and served in many pivotal roles during her tenure. Marlena is committed to ensuring that individuals and families have choice regarding their service options and the appropriate level of services, and ensuring quality, accountability of our home and community-based service programs. Welcome, Deputy Secretary Hutchinson, and thank you for being with us today.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's such an honor to be here today, and thank you all for being here today. Developmental Disabilities Day at the Legislature is always a powerful reminder of why this work matters, because behind every policy decision, every budget line, and every conversation with a legislator, there are real people with real lives, dreams, and goals. And I want to start today here to say something very plainly. This is an extremely challenging time. No one comes to this job or to this work excited about budget decisions. They are hard. They are very, very hard conversations to have. It is very uncomfortable, and it affects people's sense of security. We know that when we talk about fiscal responsibility or sustainability, what many people hear is uncertainty. Some hear fear. Some worry about losing the services they rely on. Some worry about going backward, about institutionalization, about losing independence, about promises not being kept. Let me be clear. Our commitment to community living has not changed. We are not going back. We are not institutionalizing people. The work before us is about preserving and strengthening home and community-based services, so they are not here just today, but also tomorrow, and for many, 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 many years from now. Right now, we are at a moment that requires both honesty and responsibility. Across the Maryland Department of Health, and especially within the Developmental Disabilities Administration, we are focused on making sure we can continue to serve people who receive services today, while also protecting access for those who are waiting for services and who will need supports and services in the future. That is what sustainability means. Sustainability does not mean making the system run better for its own sake. It means making sure you can continue to receive the services you need to live in your communities the way that you want to build relationships, to be safe, and to be a part of your community. It means that a family who is on the waiting list can trust that when their turn comes, they can access the system. The services will be there for them. It means that the next generation will have a system that they can access and that they will not have to face a broken system. At DDA, we know that services are not abstract. They shape daily life. They determine whether someone can live with dignity and choice, whether someone can pursue a job they care about, whether someone can remain safely in their community. So as we align federal Medicaid requirements and think about fiscal responsibility, our focus is not on hurting people or making the system look good on paper. Our focus is on making sure people get what they need safely, reliably, and in ways that truly support their goals. Over the past year, we have been transforming how we do our work, not just by updating policies, but by changing how we listen and how we engage. Because in difficult times, we must have open and hard conversations to build trust. And trust matters more than ever. We have worked to create a space for honest dialogue through expanded engagement efforts, bringing together self-advocates, participants, families, providers, and community partners to talk openly about what is working, what is not working, where people are struggling, and what needs to change. What we continue to hear is very clear. People want to be understood. People want to be heard. People want transparency. They want clear, timely communication. They want services that adapt to their lives, not the other way around. And they want reassurance that the supports and services that they depend on will still be there when they need them. We have also heard something else. People care deeply about protecting this system, not just for themselves, but for others, for their loved ones, for their neighbors, for their friends, and for those who have still been waiting on the waiting list. That is a shared spirit of responsibility. And that shared spirit is powerful. In the moments ahead, DDA will continue to engage with the community through multiple platforms, hosting conversations, listening sessions, and forums that meet people where they are. Not because engagement is just to check a box, but because we cannot make responsible decisions without the voices of those who are most impacted. We cannot do that. We know that there are difficult conversations ahead, but we also know what guides us. We are guided by the belief that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities belong in their communities. We are guided by the responsibility to protect services for people who rely on them today. And we are guided by the obligation to ensure that services will be there for those who need them tomorrow. This is not about shrinking a system. It is about stabilizing it. It is about protecting it. It is about strengthening it so it can endure. Together with self-advocates, participants and families, providers, legislators, and partners, we can make careful, thoughtful decisions that keep people at the center. Because at the end of the day, this work is not about budgets. It is about people. It is about you, everyone who relies on the services and supports that they need to live in the communities they choose. Again, I want to thank you all for being here today. It's such an honor and privilege. Most importantly, I want to thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your partnership, and thank you for continuing to stand with us as we do this hard, necessary, and deeply important work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary, Deputy Secretary. It's nice to continue to have feelings understood and heard, and to be able to engage in those hard conversations, because they are hard. We all know they're hard. On that vein, I want to recognize two people who are also very open to have hard conversations from the governor's office: Michael Huber, Deputy Chief of Staff, and Hannah Dyer, Deputy Legislative Officer. Thank you for being here. And I also want to recognize Eli Morton, Chief of Staff for Delegate Heather Bagnall. As we mentioned before, lots of moving parts, but Eli, thank you for joining us today.
All right, well, good morning, everybody. My name's Andy Culp, and I'm the Executive Director of the ARC Maryland, and I'm going to go over our first fact sheet of the day, and that's on the DDA budget proposed for fiscal year 27. So if you open your folders, it should be on the right side behind a few of the other fact sheets in there. We'll give you a second to pull it up, and it looks like this. It's a white piece of paper with the banner at the top. First, I'd like to point out that our budget does grow by 8% over last year, but you'll see that there's some cuts that have been proposed to curb the cost curve that we have been told is happening in DDA. So Governor Moore's fiscal year 27 budget for DDA includes 3 proposed budget cuts that, if approved by the General Assembly, would have negative impacts on people with developmental disabilities, their families, and community providers across Maryland. The proposed DDA budget cuts total $155.4 million in general funds. And what's important to note there is that any cut to those general funds means that we will also lose a match of federal funds that equals about the same amount. So in total, that cut would be $310.8 million to the DDA budget. The first cut is to make a change in the dedicated hours policy. That would cut $27.1 million in general funds from the DDA budget. So for everyone's awareness, dedicated hours are the units that fund a person to have 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 levels of support. The proposals that this cut will be accomplished by mandating training for providers and coordinators of community services staff on the dedicated hour policy, and cuts will be made through that training process. It's estimated to affect 3,800 people and 200 or more providers of community services. The next proposal is to reduce self-directed wages, and that is proposed to cut $62.2 million in general funds through reductions to the reasonable and customary wages allowed under self-directed services through alignment with a Bureau of Labor Statistics wage data that's used to set community provider rates. Also, eliminating the option that self-directing individuals have currently to offer a wage exception to their staff under certain circumstances. This is estimated to affect up to 4,000 people who self-direct their services and hire their own staff, and would result in the inability to pay higher wages for people who need to do so in order to hire and retain staff. And the last budget cut proposal is to cap individual budgets at $500,000. And that is estimated to save $66.1 million in general funds. So what would happen is there would be an annual cap of $500,000, which sounds like a lot of money, and it is. However, the people that currently get this level of support have very complicated needs. Things like needs for 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 support. Some individuals might be court involved. Some individuals might have a need for nursing supports and things like that. So there will be an exception process developed by DDA and needs to get federal approval. And it's estimated to affect 1,600 people in the DDA waiver with budgets over $500,000. Of those 1,600, about 820 people have services that actually cost more than $500,000 who would lose services if they don't get an exception. The difference in the numbers there is that many people who have budgets as high as $500,000 do not utilize their whole budget. They utilize between 50 and 60% on average. This cut would affect people with the most complex medical and behavioral needs, both in the self-direction and community provider models. We believe these combined cuts are absolutely going to impact people's lives, reduce access to flexible and individualized supports, make it harder for people to live full lives in their communities, and it will unfortunately target people with higher support needs. DDA services are vital to supporting Marylanders with developmental disabilities to live, learn, work, and play in their communities. And under the 1999 Supreme Court decision in Olmstead v. LC, people with disabilities have the right to access services in the most integrated setting. These proposed cuts threaten the system that makes that right a reality in Maryland. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We are moving on from the budget to talk about legislation. You have some important briefing sheets in your packets, and the one I am going to talk about looks, I'm sure you can see this, but maybe, oh, no, maybe on the, yep, on the camera. It's a white sheet with a colorful logo at the top, and on the front, that's the bill I'm going to talk about. It is the House Bill 1445 or Senate Bill 742. It has a really long name, but in parentheses, you'll see the short name for it, which is Maryland Protecting People with Disabilities Act. And this is a really important piece of legislation because how many of you have know someone who's lost their waiver, their Medicaid waiver eligibility, or you've lost your Medicaid waiver eligibility? Show of hands. How many of you have seen this, heard this, know about this? I know there are a lot of people in our community who have. Thank you. So the federal government requires states to follow timelines and rules for Medicaid eligibility. And Medicaid is how people access all of these supports we've been talking about. So in Maryland, since January of 2024, as we fully came out of the pandemic and COVID and everything started getting, kind of back to normal, so to speak, so more than 2 years ago, people with disabilities have been losing their Medicaid eligibility, which means they've lost their access to the DDA waiver. And that means they are no longer eligible for the supports and services they were receiving from DDA. This has largely been, for many, many, many of those folks, through no fault of their own. And the state has struggled, and Maryland is not alone in this. Many states are in this situation of struggling to keep up with the workload for all of the people who need to go through that process every year to make sure their Medicaid continues for them. And I want to acknowledge that the department is working hard to address the systems issues that are causing these challenges. So they are aware of it, and they really are working very hard. They understand how important this issue is. So there's a piece of legislation this year that would require Maryland to follow the federal timelines and help people not lose their eligibility and stay enrolled. So what the federal rule says is that Maryland, any state, cannot end someone's Medicaid if the state has not done its part correctly or there are administrative errors. So the bill requires reinstating eligibility if someone was wrongly disenrolled through no fault of their own. The bill also protects people from losing the critical supports that they have been getting because of paperwork or system mistakes. So Here's why this bill is so important. Because the loss of access to DDA waiver services affects whether people can continue to get the supports and services they need, whether families need to stop working to step in and provide care, and whether community providers and caregivers of people who self-direct can continue to provide care if they are unable to be paid. So in many cases, this is happening because of paperwork issues, renewal problems, or systems breakdowns. And even when families or people with disabilities fix the issue and reapply, some are being told they have to wait for a waiver slot. So even once the issues are fixed, there can be a delay getting back in and getting the services and supports people need. So again, those bill numbers, House Bill 1445 and Senate Bill 742, they're identical, but they're introduced in both chambers. That bill works to fix these problems and that affects everyone, whether they use community providers or they self-direct their services. The Senate bill is sponsored by Senator Guy Gazzoni, who you heard from, our big champion, earlier today. That has a hearing on March 3rd at 1 o'clock in the Senate Finance Committee. The House bill, which is sponsored by Delegate Sarah Wallach from Montgomery County, has a hearing on March 10th at 1 o'clock in the House Health Committee. And all of you who are connected to anybody in the DD Coalition, you'll be getting this information as we get closer to those hearing dates. So stay tuned for more information, but while you're here today, it is a great opportunity to talk to legislators about why this bill is so important and to ask for their support. Thank you.
We're going to stay on the same sheet, but you're going to flip to the other side. Next, I'm going to talk about HB 1015 or SB 721, which is also known as Ralph's Act. This bill is sponsored and championed by Delegate Jared Solomon of Montgomery County and addresses a very specific gap in our system. This bill would apply to someone with a developmental disability who has been receiving home and community-based services in another state for at least 10 years, and then unfortunately loses their parent or primary caregiver. If their closest family member lives here in Maryland, they may need to relocate quickly. Right now, there is no defined timeline for how long it takes Maryland to make an eligibility decision in that situation. Families can be left waiting months without clarity about whether services will be made available to them. During that time, they're trying to figure out housing, supports, and long-term stability. Ralph's Act creates some structure and predictability in that situation. It would require the Developmental Disabilities Administration to make an eligibility decision within 30 days of receiving a completed application. That timeline would give families some added certainty and allow service planning to begin sooner. If the person is then found eligible, they would be placed in the crisis resolution category of the waiting list. Something to keep in mind is that it would not bypass the waiting list. It does not change who qualifies. It does not expand services. It simply would reorganize that the loss, or it would simply recognize that the loss of a primary caregiver creates an urgent situation that would need to be treated as such. This bill is narrowly tailored. It only applies to people with a long documented history of receiving services in another state and who are moving here specifically because of the death or loss of their primary caregiver. At its core, this legislation strengthens accountability. It sets a clear expectation for response time from DDA. It supports the families and the person that needs that support, and it would ensure that Maryland has a defined process in place when these rare but serious situations occur. Thank you.
All right, one more on the same page. I'm going to briefly talk about Senate Bill 583, the Developmental Disabilities Administration Self-Directed Services Manual, public comment. This bill requires DDA to provide notice to the public before any changes are made to the self-directed services manual. It also requires that time period of comment to be 90 days. Right now, there is no time frame or requirement to provide notice to the public for changes to the manual or policies or procedures or any guidance. And we know there's been a lot of changes to a lot of things over the last couple of years. By supporting this bill, we're supporting even more meaningful engagement, even more communication that everyone's been talking about today. The DD Coalition, though, supports it with a little change, and that is there should be an opportunity for those comments on the official policies and procedures too. Well, and that helps everyone who receives services from DDA. We also think, because all of the work we have all done to make things easier to understand, easier to read, sometimes we call it plain language, that those guides, those policies, those manuals should be at least described, the changes should be described in plain language, if not written completely in plain language. Tracy? All right, Tracy is coming up to talk about voting. You got it. Good job.
One moment, please. Okay. Good morning. My name is Tracy Wright. I'm Deputy Director of People in the Go Maryland and Maryland Statewide Self-Advocacy Group. And today I'm here to talk to you about voting bills, which are very near and dear to my heart. The first one I want to talk to you about is HB 044 and SB 29, and this talks about plain language for having language on the ballot that is plain and clear and easy to understand, no legal words or double negatives, which I'm not sure what they are, but none of those, please. And voters will get an explanation of what these choices mean, and that's very important. The next bill I want to talk to you about, which affects voting as well, is HB 263 and SB 100, and that's transportation access. And this, buses must be stopped near early voting centers and be within 1/2 mile of a voting center. This helps people who rely on public transportation to get to vote. The next one I want to talk to you about is faster voting access, which means, because we know people with disabilities are so fast, we will, this is SB 73, and it's fast lines for voters with disabilities and other older adults, clear signage showing where to go, priority seating for if there's long lines for waiting. Election workers must be trained on how to assist voters with disabilities. And these are very important. They make voting more inclusive. They help us understand what is being voted for. And transportation removes the barriers for us to be able to go vote. And the lines, reducing the wait time, makes it easier for us for those of us who do have transportation barriers, to ensure that we are able to get the proper assistance to vote. And these are very important. And please make sure you are registered to vote, and make sure you look to make sure your registration, with all the changes and all the things going on out there, if you are, make sure you go online to make sure your registration is up to date. And if you need to make any changes, get in touch with us at People on the Go or Disability Rights Maryland, and we'll help you out.
Thank you.
All right, a few more. I am going to talk about the bills on the blue sheet, if you'd like to follow along. And these bills make it easier for people to live and travel in their communities. So first we have HB 58, which is a transportation bill requiring county and local transportation services for people with disabilities and for older adults to connect riders to medical facilities in other counties. So it would allow these services to cross county lines. Next, we have HB 226, which is about a housing foundation program allowing the Department of Disabilities to create and administer a foundation to get money and work with partners to create affordable and accessible housing in the communities. And then we have HB 578, which talks about in the context of fair housing, looking at whether an action actually discriminates, regardless of whether it was intended to discriminate. So this offers more protections against unfair housing practices. So all three of these bills strengthen people's ability to live as they wish throughout their communities. That's the blue sheet. And then I think next we're talking about yellow. Good.
Thank you. All right. I would say I promise this is the last time you're going to hear from me, but you know what happens when you do that. You'll see me again. So I am going to talk about your yellow sheet. You might have noticed that quite a few students joined us. So before you see even more of them, let's talk about some bills that affect children with disabilities. There are three on the sheet. I am going to quickly highlight just the first two. The first one being House Bill 102, Senate Bill 263. And this is a bill that allows active service members, people who are actively in our military, to enroll their children in advance for school. So when they know they're coming to Maryland, one of our many, many bases, they can pre-enroll their children in school. And the key really to this bill is it also requires that new school in Maryland to coordinate with the family and the old school, wherever they came from, when the child is a student with a disability. So it allows for more coordination. And this is really important. I don't know how many people know this, but there are over 62,000 active duty service members in Maryland. And they have almost 44,000 children. So there are a lot, and we are very supportive of things that make transition into Maryland easier for them and their families. The second bill I want to talk about actually has a Senate hearing today. It is House Bill 311, Senate Bill 507. And that is one that requires each school system to identify, to look for accessibility issues for people with disabilities in their schools. And I say very intentionally people with disabilities because this is not just about students. This is students, family members that come into the building, staff with disabilities, and requires them to report on any issues that make it harder for people with disabilities to leave if there's an emergency. Emergency in the building, so maybe there's an evacuation order, fire drill, who knows. They have to report on, hopefully so they'll address quicker, those issues that make it hard for anyone to leave. And this really raises awareness of any issues of accessibility in our schools, and it ensures that our school systems are held accountable to make sure they have emergency plans for students and a way to get everyone out of the building. So just want to note, they're already required to have those emergency plans. The plan to get students, staff, any visitors with disabilities out in emergency situations. But sometimes schools still aren't accessible. And sometimes it makes it even harder when there's an emergency if an elevator is not working. So this is another step forward to make sure our schools are truly accessible for people with disabilities. Sorry. I think those are all of our fact sheets. You have even more information in your packet. So now I am going to turn it over to Dee Sepp. Sorry. That way you don't have to hold it.
Hi, good morning. My name, as Rachel mentioned, is Dee Sapp, and I am the chair of the Maryland Developmental Disabilities Council. I am also the proud mother of Lawrence Sapp, a 24-year-old diagnosed with autism and an intellectual disability. It is my honor to introduce our next speaker, Secretary Carol Beatty. Secretary Beatty is a longtime partner to Maryland's disability community. Throughout her career, she has worked to expand opportunity, access, and inclusion for people with disabilities across our state. Before leading the Maryland Department of Disabilities, she worked as a community provider. She knows and understands the critical role community services play in people's lives. Appointed in 2015 to serve as Secretary of the Department of Disabilities, her leadership expanded the department's reach across the full cross-disability community. We were grateful for the steady, experienced leadership she brings. Secretary Beatty has consistently been a strong advocate for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, families, community providers, and direct support professionals. Her commitment to ensuring that Marylanders with and without disabilities live, learn, work, and play together is unwavering. Please join me in welcoming Secretary Carol Beatty.
I just don't want to fall down. I'm the one that you would expect to have fallen down. Thank you so much. So a couple things before I start. One is we were very fortunate in July to give out the Governor's Awards on Disability champions within our state, and Dee's son Lawrence received one of them, and Liz Weintraub over here received another one. So it's great to be in this community. And I also want to tell you how important this community is to me. I actually came back a day early from visiting my granddaughter in Atlanta so I could be here with you today. So good morning to everybody, and a special thanks to the DD Coalition for putting this event together year after year after year. It's really an honor to stand with you today for Developmental Disabilities Day in Annapolis, to share the podium with legislative champions that I've known for years, and to share with my state colleagues that I respect, and then all of you. Each year, this day reminds us that public policy is personal. It's about people and their families. It's about neighbors and coworkers and classmates and friends. And most of all, it's about ensuring that Marylanders with intellectual and developmental disabilities have the opportunity to live self-determined lives and meaningful lives in their communities. I'm proud to serve as the Secretary of the Department of Disabilities. This is my, I think, 10th year at DD Day as Secretary, though I have been to many, many more. I'm even more proud that the Moore-Miller administration is working together with this community that shows up year after year after year to advocate, to educate, and to lead. That's really in drastic contrast to what's happening at the federal level. We have already seen threats of funding cuts from Washington turn into real cuts, causing harm and real harm here in Maryland. As we know, this president does really not respect people with disabilities and the services that support them. Yep. Sad but true. We must do all we can together to ensure that we don't give the Trump-Vance administration any excuse to cut additional federal funds and dollars to Marylanders with disabilities. As we watch people tear each other apart in national politics, it reminds us of the importance of finding common ground and supporting each other here in Maryland. But today, I want to focus on some of the issues that go beyond the budget line items. You know, I know that funding matters, it's really important, but there are other things that drive our work, and that's opportunity, access, and equity. First, let's talk about employment. Marylanders with intellectual and developmental disabilities want to work. I hear this from them all the time while I'm traveling around the state. They want careers and not just jobs or placements. They want and deserve competitive integrated employment with fair wages and opportunities for growth. At the department, we are strengthening partnerships across state agencies and with private employers to expand inclusive hiring. Our Office of Disability Employment Advancement and Policy is working to modernize agency policies and to support customized employment models and highlight businesses that are leading the way in inclusive practices. Employment is not just about income, it's about dignity, independence, and contribution. Second, technology and digital accessibility. Assistive technology is transforming lives. From the communication devices to remote supports, technology can expand independence and self-determination in very powerful ways. Our MD-TAP and TAM programs are working to ensure that Marylanders with intellectual and developmental disabilities can get and use the tools that they need more quickly and with less red tape. Technology will not replace human connections, but it can give us more choices and help you to be more independent. And third, self-advocacy and leadership. Nothing about us without us. That principle continues to guide our work. We are committed to making the voices of self-advocates loud and strong in policymaking, advisory boards, and community conversations. When people with lived experience speak, systems improve, policies become more responsive, and communities become stronger. I also want to highlight the incredible work happening within the Maryland Department of Disabilities, and I want to introduce our Deputy Secretary, Ann Blackfield, who's over here in the corner. Our team works every day to coordinate across state government so that disability is not siloed or put into a box, but it's part of the decision-making about education, housing, health, emergency preparedness, workforce development, and beyond. We are strengthening interagency collaboration to ensure smoother transitions from school to adulthood. We are advancing accessibility standards across digital platforms so that government services are usable by everyone. And we are expanding outreach to underserved communities to ensure that there's equity and access to services and supports. We are also working to build resilience because individuals with disabilities who are navigating complex systems need clarity, responsiveness, and respect. But we cannot do this alone. Real progress happens when self-advocates, family members, providers, legislators, advocates, and community partners come together with state government in a shared commitment to inclusion. It happens when we listen to each other and when we focus on solutions. Today, as you meet with legislators and you share your stories, know this: your voice matters. Your lived experience shapes policy, and your advocacy drives change. Thanks for your advocacy. Have a great day advocating, and thank you for your partnership.
We're going to get off the stage.
All right, now, oops. I'm short, so what can I say? I have the fun part of the program, at least I think it's fun. It's to talk about our Together We're Better School Inclusion Program. It exists in a four-way partnership. We have representatives here from all four organizations. We have Secretary Beatty from Maryland Department of Disabilities, as you know. We have DSAP, and if she's here to come on up. DSAP representing the Maryland Developmental Disabilities Council. We have Carmen Brown. She just got a title change. Co-interim acting assistant state superintendent at the Maryland State Department of Education. And of course, myself, I'm Sharon Doles. I'm deputy executive director at the ARC Maryland. Together We're Better builds on the principles of equity, inclusion, and belonging. Awareness and engaging acceptance activities are designed to reduce barriers, reshape attitudes, and enhance students' sense of belonging and inclusion in their school communities. So we're pleased here today with our program partners to honor students' artwork. They were selected from many hundreds of applicants across the state, and we encourage them to continue performing and doing well with good artwork, showing what inclusion means to them. So without further ado, I would like to congratulate all of our students and their schools, and we'll go from third place to first place in the category. And as I call up the student names, I invite you to come up to the stage to get your award and get a photo taken. I also invite the educators and the parents, if they are here too, to please come on up so you can be in the photo opportunity. And all of their artwork, just as a note, is out there. Well, you'll see it up here, but the real pieces are out in the atrium level on display. Also on display is our Together We're Better coloring book that the high school students work on each year, and we publish it into a coloring book to give out to libraries, rec centers, so forth. So in the elementary school category, in third place, I'd like to call Daisy Frada. She's fourth grade from Churchville Elementary School in Hartford County. So why don't we hold, maybe give her the check. She gave me everything. Yeah. Okay, and maybe the, mom? Or teacher. Yes. I am her mother. But that's right. She also teaches at church. Congratulations, Daisy. So we also have in second place award we actually had a tie this year for second place. So would Rindra come up? Fifth grade. She's from Garrett Park Elementary School in Montgomery County. Yeah, actually go behind me. And squeeze on in. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, congratulations.
Perfect.
You want me to hold the envelopes?
Squeeze in. Squeeze in, squeeze in, squeeze in.
Congratulations.
We also have the other second place award is Caroline Bernhardt. She is from Smithsburg Elementary School in Washington County. Please come on up. And I think Miss Grove is here too, her teacher from Smithsburg.
She's ready. Hello, congratulations. This is for you. We'll squeeze in this way. Congrats. Congrats. There we go. She's ready. Just follow her lead.
And our first place honoree is Daomi Gugwanar. I'm sorry, I just butchered their last name. Gunawar Danu. Dewami, please come on up. She is also from Garrett Park Elementary School in Montgomery County. All right, now on to middle school. So we had a third place tie. I'll tell you, the judges had a really tough time. There were so many fabulous entries, and a lot of them from all across the state. So our third place tie with Louise Moore in 8th grade from Ridgely Middle School in Baltimore County. Please come on up. And I think Rain, Ms. Valentine is here too, her teacher. You guys are good on. And the tie goes to one of her fellow classmates, Braith Miller, who actually unfortunately couldn't be here, but Rain is still here to represent her, so thank you for that. Our second place honor goes to Claire Van Wagner. She's in 8th grade, also from Ridgely Middle School in Baltimore County. And now excited to announce that our first place is Karina Arujo. She's from Barnesville School of Arts and Sciences in Montgomery County. And actually, the principal from her school is here. No.
Sure.
Moving on to high school, again, like I said, remember the judges had an extremely difficult time this year, which is actually a great thing to have for this program. We have another tie for third place. So would Sophia Pineda, who's 12th grade from North Hagerstown High School in Washington County, please come on up. This is great. Congratulations. The next third place honoree is Ileana Dandy. She's 10th grade in Kent Island High School in Queens Anne's County. And her teacher, Ms. Schultes, and their school principal, Mr. Harding, are both here as well. Thank you.
Congratulations. I know.
I'll stay out.
No. You can layer up. You want to go out front? Come right in. I'll move up. I'm so short.
Yes, congratulations. And then Queens Anne's County, Kent Island High School, please stay up here, the two administrators, because we have a second place award to give to Addison Payne. She's in 9th grade. She's also from Kent Island High School in Queens Anne's County. Okay, I shouldn't get in these pictures.
Yes, you should.
Congratulations, next year I know to wear heels, so I'm a little bit taller with all of you. Okay, and then first place, what an honor, Zoe Mann. She's 11th grade, again from Kent Island High School. Yes, a lot of schools this year kind of swept a lot of the awards. And while she's coming up, Kent Island High School sponsors an art scene every year where we debut the coloring book that the students across the state have made.
Right there. Right there. Perfect. All right. You don't have to bend.
So again, congratulations to all of our students, their educators, and their parents and families. It takes a village to put this program on and to support it across the state. And we just appreciate everybody's support with Together We're Better. Thank you.
I'm going to sneak behind you and get off the stage. This is all about now. You want to hold that?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Oh, come on. I know you can get louder than that. Good morning. That's much better. I had my soda this morning, so I'm sure you all had your coffee. Well, here we are again at the close of another Developmental Disabilities Day. And I'm reminded of some very important things. Things like Olmsted that Andy talked about, that, believe it or not, Olmsted was passed when I was still in school when the dinosaurs roamed. So, we know we have made significant progress, and we will not go back. Forward, 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 always forward. So, the theme of today is these are our lives. Because while we have great allies, and I work with 4 of them just about every day during legislative session, fantastic people on the DD Coalition, we know that the changes that are being talked about, the cuts that are being contemplated to the Developmental Disabilities Administration budget and other services, they affect us more than anyone else. They affect our friends, our families, and our neighbors, and ourselves. But we also know there's positivity too. My good friend, Tracy Wright, also talked about the power of voting and the power of our voices. So make sure you exercise that power today, because it lies with you and with you alone. But who helps us exercise our power? Who helps us ensure the promise of Olmsted? Who helps us perfect the system that Maryland has worked so hard to create, that is far from perfect, but we made significant progress from Olmsted to the Equal Employment Act? We will not go back, but we know our DSPs have to be front and center in all conversations. We know that many of our DSPs work 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet. This is not acceptable, and we must fight to preserve our DD services, because these are our lives, no one else's. And I'm reminded of that every single day when I look at my DSP who helps me support my brother. So, Idris and James, this is for you. We must also remember that we are one community. Whether we self-direct or we use the provider-supported model, as we talk about budget conversations, please remember we're all in this together and that we have different perspectives, but the services that everyone uses must be preserved. These 2 beautiful service models. So, thank you all for all your advocacy, and as you move out to Lawyers Mall, we're going to have a rally that's going to start around 11:15. I want you to remember this. You are the energy today. You are the driving force behind our change. And you will carry it forward, because that's what you've always done. And I'm so proud to not only be the director of People on the Go, but to be a part of this beautiful community. And I want you to carry our rally cry forward. So everybody say it with me. These are our lives. Save DD services. These are our lives. Save DD Services. Forward, forward, forward. Always back. Always forward, never back. Sorry about that. But you get the idea. You're here, you're ready, you're strong, so go do it. Thank you.
Y'all are waiting for more, I can tell. Okay, let's head towards the lobby. There will be a variety of probably different groups walking towards Lawyers Mall, where they are actually probably all set up and waiting.